Hey there, Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. So you've got a young player. Sorry, these aren't going to be synced up very well. You got a young player that's trying to learn, a little more pop, try to get some bigger moves here in their weight shift. You've noticed that a lot of professional players get a lot more distance here between their feet when they drop in, so forth. And so you're trying to get your player to do that. Maybe you notice the front side opening up. You've heard plenty of guys talk about the kinetic chain of events. Everything, some separation here between the upper half and the lower half. And I want to show you today why young players will initially struggle with this movement and how you can kind of combat that and work towards some better goals. As far as this goes, whenever a player starts learning a weight shift like what both of these turners are doing here, is what do they see? What do we all see? Right? We see the front leg lifting up. Right, and this is exactly what young players see. And this is what we focus on. Hey, do the leg kick, right? That's what we say in the cage. Do the leg kick, and so this is the mechanism that young players focus on. And if you listen to YouTube, guys will even talk about forward head movement. I don't know why, but you'll hear guys, because they had coaches that told them their head couldn't move when they're in, and now they know the secrets of hitting, and they'll say no, but these guys actually move their head. Why you'd want to point that out to me is it completely spells out that you're teaching what you see. You're not teaching what is really happening here. In a lot of these cases, neither one of these guys is saying I want to move my head forward, and neither one of them is saying I want to get off of my backside. Right? None of them they're not trying to do that. Each one of these players is doing what, I think 50 years ago, the principles still apply here. And I'm going to try to show you what I think that your player, if they're learning a bigger move like this, what they need to focus on. Instead of everything you see there in the red, this is what they should be focused on. This are the really important pieces in this opening phase of being in your backside, engaged in your backside. In fact, in the entirety of the weight shift, as we're moving forward, I should still feel like I'm in my backside. I'm in my backside, right? I don't want to feel like I'm leaving my backside. And both of these guys will show, and I'll show in a drill here after this, what they're feeling. Right, so what's happening here? Obviously, this turner's making a big, look how far his front foot and front leg get out there. But when the way that it's being translated by most is that they're going this way, that at the top of the swing here, right? And look, some guys more than others. I'm not trying to spell out that nobody has more linear, or that there's never more linear movement than this. But with your young player, I don't want to teach them, hey, I want all this to move at the same rate. Right? That is a recipe for disaster. I always want to challenge the player to say, hey, we've got to stay back. I want you to stay in your backside in the entirety of this, right? And I want players to feel when they begin to move forward that I want it to be more of this side is reaching, right? This is what causes, you see his front hip open up. Now, the reason why we have to teach it, not we, but a lot of guys that are teaching the elite swing, the reason why they have to teach open the front leg up is because they don't understand this mechanism, right? This mechanism, if I reach out, this is very natural. Neither one of these guys practices opening their leg up. These guys practice naturally because they reach with the right components, the right mechanisms are working here, engaged in the backside, and that front leg is more of a reach than it is my body's going forward. That natural reaching action, that front leg, creates more separation. If I think I'm just going to move all these components forward and that I've got to open my front leg up, I'm going to have a lot of problems down the road. And this is exactly how a lot of players are translating this big movement. And if you teach your players to feel a little bit more of a reach with that front leg as they try to, and hey, you can tell them to reach out as far as they want, as long as they can stay engaged, right? If I can stay in my backside during this process, I can reach as far as I want with that front leg. It's when we start translating, hey, look how far he went here. I want you to stride out to that distance. That is where a lot of players are getting so many things wrong, because what are we pointing out these days? Right? YouTube. Oh, the elite landing, right? These components, right? We see this and we go, oh, that's what we want. And so we see all these players pushing out onto their front side and compressing onto that front leg, which is completely absent of the principles of ground force. Is not, I'm going to jump out onto my front leg and have it bent when I land, right? Some of those things, right? The flexion in the front leg, we need to have that. But if you're trying to push your weight out onto your front leg in order to have that compression or that flex knee, you're going to be in trouble. If you do, and then if you want the most stretch, the most bang for your buck, then you'll learn how from at the top of the swing here, right? These two things, my opinion. If I can stay engaged here, and then I can, from this point forward, I can begin to reach, right? Look how long his laces stay towards the camera. Laces, 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 laces. Still engaged in the backside, by the way. Laces. Now, you try your best to do exactly what he did with that reach. And consider it a reach when you're practicing this. And you try not to let your hips open up. It's going to happen, right? Because the backside's staying engaged, the front leg is reaching. That's what causes the opening. It's not a manufactured open your legs. Now I know Josh Donaldson he's showing people, and every kid I see trying to do this lower half separation between the lower half and upper half, they're all literally opening everything up in order to do this. Now, if you want to do it like these two turners, you'll learn how this front leg is going to be more of a reach, and I'm going to stay engaged in the backside. Now, I'm going to give you a drill here. Again, now I'm 45. All right, we'll save the jokes. No, I'm kidding. I'm good looking, though, so I still have that going for me. But I just put a lid here on the ground. It's a great way of introducing your player, still maintaining the idea of staying back. The whole time I'm trying to stay engaged in my backside, very little flexion there in the back leg, but I'm old. But I'm trying to reach that front leg out. Now, this forward movement is something that so many players get lost in, right? Oh, he's moving forward. You start reaching your leg out like this, your body is going to move forward. What else can it do? It's just responding to, my leg's going that way. If I don't do something here with my body, and this central nervous system more than anything, it's naturally going to grab you. And then this front leg opening, I can't say it enough that this foot opening up and that front hip opening up, now mine's not going to be as aggressive as those guys, right? But that is rather natural the more that I reach out with that front leg, right? And that back leg movement is, for me, it's because I stay engaged in my backside longer. It's not because I'm going to my front foot and I'm going to slide my back leg. That's not it, right? I'm trying to stay engaged in that backside for as long as possible, no matter how far my foot goes forward, no matter how far my head goes forward. I'm trying to stay back. Look, the goal that you should be trying to teach your players whenever they're hitting balls and they're learning how to hit is, what am I going to do to be able to stay behind the ball? So many kids these days are pushing out onto their front side, right, to get all this linear movement, and they're hitting the ball with the side of their body because they never learned to stay behind the ball and drive it. They're all trying to push out onto their front leg so that they can, and all that forward momentum that they create, jumping at the ball and jumping into the front side, no matter how much you think they look like a pro, they're always hitting the ball with the side of their body. They never learn to stay on the ball. Right? And if you teach a player, hey, I want you to stay in that backside when you're striding or what have you, you're going to give your player a much better chance, right, to stay behind the ball and drive it. Hey, Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. Thanks.